Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Very pleased to see you again. Today, we are going to discuss vocabulary learning. Here you might ask, so why not talk about vocabulary teaching rather than vocabulary learning? Actually, vocabulary teaching and vocabulary learning both are about vocabulary studies. However, we take a different point of view. Vocabulary learning takes the point of view of a student. Vocabulary teaching takes the point of view of a teacher. Both are about vocabulary studies. Okay, so whether we say vocabulary teaching or vocabulary learning, we are talking about vocabulary studies. So why do we need to talk about vocabulary studies? Because vocabulary is very important. Let's say how important it is, and we'll see. You know, to learn a language, we need to learn 3 elements. What are the 3 elements of language? First, speech sounds. Second, vocabulary. Third, grammar. All right? So if you want to learn the language, you must learn the 3 elements. But comparatively, which do you think is more important? Or which is important? We say all of them are important. But which is more important? This is a question. This is a question. And we'll say which is more important. Now let's say what an ELT scholar says about vocabulary, the relationship between vocabulary and grammar. So this is what she says. Without grammar, very little can be conveyed. Without words, nothing can be conveyed. So what does it mean? You know, what is grammar? Grammar is a set of rules. What's the use of rules? The rules are used to connect words into sentences, and sentences into paragraphs, paragraphs into articles. So the rules have no use if we do not have vocabulary. Is that right? So vocabulary is basic. Without words, even though you have very good command of grammar, you can express nothing. All right? So this is what is meant. Nothing can be conveyed. Now let's say what another scholar says about the relationship between the 3 elements. No matter how well the student learns grammar, no matter how successfully he masters the sounds of an L2. L2 means second language. Sounds means speech sounds. Without words to express a wide range of meanings, communication in that language cannot happen in any meaningful way. Even though you have a beautiful pronunciation, even though you have very good mastery of grammar, without words, you cannot really express much. Is that right? Even though you can pronounce every sound beautifully, but if you have no words, how can you express yourselves? There's no way. Right? Grammar is a set of rules. If you have only the rules, if you do not have words, how can you express yourselves? Now you can say comparatively, which is basic? Vocabulary. Which is more important? Vocabulary. That's why vocabulary is a very important task to every learner of language. Even teachers have to continue to study words, right? Whatever you do, whether you are doing listening comprehension, whether you are doing reading comprehension, if you know all the words of the passage, you find it easy to understand. If there are some new words, properly quite often you can't understand it, right? So again, words play a very important role, right, in listening and speaking. So what are we going to study today? So today we are going to talk about the following aspects. First, vocabulary size. That is, how many words do we have to know? Now you are teachers. Do you know how many words you know? I don't think you know. Do you know how many words you need to know? Not many people can answer the question, all right? I will tell you, okay? And then the second is vocabulary building. Given that vocabulary size, how can you make your size bigger, right? So this is the second part, vocabulary building. Make your vocabulary size bigger. And then the next, vocabulary development. Everybody has a number of words, know a big number of words. Do you think when you know enough words, do you think that's enough? No, far from enough. Right? Knowing the form of a word is not enough. Not only should you know the form, you should also know the meanings. Right? So if you want to develop your vocabulary, you must know more and more meanings, because there are all kinds of meaning. And then we'll see what are the kinds of meanings. So in this part, we are going to discuss denotation and connotation. So what is denotation? What is connotation? Probably you know something about it. We'll see. Denotation refers to the literal meaning of the words, the meaning given in a dictionary. What about connotation? Connotation refers to the associations a person has when the person comes across such a word. So, and we'll see what it is. And then we'll also discuss several major sense relations, because words are related to other words in different ways. Some of the words form synonyms, some words form antonyms, some words form hypernyms. Okay, this means the relationship between different types of words. And then, even though you know the form of a word, even though you know the meaning of the word, however, if you do not know the relationship between meaning and context, even though you can use the word, you may use the word in the wrong way. Even though you use the word correctly, you may use the word inappropriately. So again, the relationship between vocabulary and context is very important. And finally, we are going to introduce how to store vocabulary, right? So if you want to have a bigger vocabulary size, how can you keep the words in your memory, right? So if you learn a word today, you forget it tomorrow. The more you learn, the more you forget. Your vocabulary size remains the same, all right? So if you learn a word, the word goes into a memory, into a non-memory, you never forget it, and then your vocabulary size will be growing, all right? So this is very important. So these are the aspects we are going to discuss today. Some of them are new, maybe some of them are not so new, okay? And we'll see. First, look at vocabulary size. Just now I asked you, do you know how many words you know? Probably you can give me a rough number, maybe 6,000, 7,000, 5,000. You can only say maybe, you are not so sure. How can you be sure of your vocabulary size? I will tell you how to count, okay? But do you know what an average English speaker knows? How many words an English speaker knows without education? An average Englishman, this man doesn't refer to a male only. This man can be a woman, can be a girl, all right? An average person of English without education is supposed to know 5,000 words. 5,000. This is not large. And what about a person who has received some education? If a person can read, the person may know 8,000 to 10,000 words. 8,000 to 10,000 words. And what about a well-educated person? And a well-educated person is supposed to know 15,000 to 25,000. Pay attention to this. This is New York literacy standard. Literate person is a person who is well-educated. Okay? So this is the standard. If you want to be literate, you must know at least 15,000 words. Okay? And then you can be considered to be well-educated. Now let's look at the vocabulary size of Shakespeare. You know, Shakespeare is a world-famous playwright. So in his lifetime, he used altogether 8,000 words to 14,000 words. Here you may wonder, how come Shakespeare is such a scholar, knows such a small vocabulary? But don't forget, Shakespeare lived long time ago, right? He lived in the 17th century. 17th century. At that time, the whole vocabulary was much smaller than the vocabulary it is today. Okay? At that time, in Shakespeare's time, the whole vocabulary may be only half of what it is today. So his 1,000 words probably maybe double today. Okay? So even though he was such a famous scholar, he used only 8,000 words to 14,000 words. Now let's look at the last one. A specially trained person is able to recognize, pay attention to the word recognize. How many words? 40,000. 40,000. Pay attention to this word. Specially trained. Specially trained. What does specially trained mean? In other words, this person must be a specialist in vocabulary. He is a specialist in vocabulary. Or probably in other words, he is an expert in vocabulary. All right? Such a person can have a command of 40,000 words. Now, you are teachers. Some of you are teaching primary school. Some of you are teaching junior middle school, and some of you are teaching senior middle school. So how many words are you supposed to have? In my opinion, if you teach a primary school, you must know at least 5,000 words. That is to say, you must be an average man of English. 5,000 words. If you teach junior middle school, you are supposed to know at least 5,000 to 8,000 words. If you teach senior middle school, how many words do you think you are supposed to know? 8,000 to 10,000. To 10,000. But how many words do you really know? You don't know, I don't know. I will tell you how to make it known to you. Okay? This is how to count the total number of words you know. All right? I tell you how to do it. First of all, take a dictionary. Suppose the dictionary has how many pages? Suppose 2,000 pages. Do not take a small dictionary. If the dictionary is too small, quite often, right, the words you know are not contained in the dictionary. You must have a big enough dictionary so that the dictionary contains every word you know. All right? So take a medium-sized dictionary. You know how many letters do we have? 26. But we are not going to count 26 letters. We are going to count 25 letters. Put X aside. Why? because X, words beginning with X, right, are only a few. Very few words begin with X. So the words beginning with such a letter do not have enough words. So forget about it. We count the rest 25 letters from A to Z, okay, except X. Remember that. How do you count? Remember, count a full page of each letter. Count a full page. Pay attention to what I say. A full page. You know, a letter may begin in the middle of a page. Okay? Do not count that page. Count a full page. In other words, you should start with the second page. The second page is always a full page. All right? Now you just count how many words you know on this page. And then you finish all the 25 pages. Because for each letter, you count one page. So for 25 letters, you count all together how many pages? 25 pages. And then add the words up. And say, how many words are there you know of these 25 pages? This is one thing you should do. Now the second thing. Consider the total number of the pages of the dictionary. Total number of the dictionary. Just now I said, suppose the dictionary you have has altogether 2,000 words. Okay? 2,000 words. Now, 2,000 words, look at this. This is the number of the pages. These pages means 2,000 words. Okay? The total number is 2,000. 2,000 divided by 25. 25 letters. 2,000 divided by 25 letters. Okay? So whatever is left is actually the result. Now you can say, suppose of the 25 letters, each page, right, you count the words you know of each page of each letter. So altogether, suppose, I say suppose, it's not really true, right? Really it depends on you. Suppose the words of the 25 pages come up to 120, okay? So 120 is the total number of the 25 pages you have counted. The second is the number of the dictionary divided means true, divided by 25, leaves 80. Now you can say the total number of the 25 pages times 80. So this is the total result. The result is 9,600. That's to say, you know 906,000. Of course, 906,000 may not be so exact. But this is roughly the words you know. Okay? So if you want to find out how many words you know, you can do it. All right? Now you have no time to do it in class. When you go back, you can do it in the evening and see how many words you know.